Well, g'day, curd nerds. G'day, curd nerds. Well, 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 g'day, curd nerds, and welcome to Ask the Cheeseman. This is where you can learn about, well, not learn, ask your home cheese making questions. Well, yeah, you do learn about cheese making. I'm just being silly now. Well, hopefully everybody can hear me and see me. I'm using new software this week. So before we go any further, I'm Gavin Weber, and I'm the Chief Curd Nerd and host of the show today. And like I said, I'll try my very best to answer any questions that you may have about home cheese making. Now, we are live on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitch. So that's all very exciting, isn't it? Yeah, we got a straight off the bat, goodness me. Thank you to Jim Jackson. Does this work? Oh, it does work. Look at that. Thank you so much for the super chat, Jim. Greetings, Sir Gavin. Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it as always. Okay, and from all reports, Bill says that we're coming through loud and clear. I like the new little icons. You can actually see your faces a lot better, which is beautiful if you've got a picture in YouTube or LinkedIn or whatever, Facebook. So that's fantastic. Now let's say g'day. No, first things first. First things first. I should read my script, shouldn't I? It's only on a piece of paper. Thank you to all YouTube members, past and present. No new ones this week, but thank you very much for all your financial support. And you can tell YouTube members, if you're in the YouTube chat, they'll have their own little special icon, and their names are green, I think. New patron this week, Alex Irish. Thank you, Alex, for your patronage, and thanks to all the other patrons who support the show as well. Now, videos this week coming up. I did some editing yesterday, but it's a pretty big project. So this is the full bland video. So this is fermented whey. So this is a the full video from when I started mixing the whey with the honey all the way to bottling and the final taste test. So this should be very exciting. So I'm putting that together. I'm not going to release just the little taste test. I don't think there's any value in it. So yes, I'm going to do the full thing and show the whole experience. Now, talking about brewing, I was contacted by I think BC from the Doing the Most brewing channel, and we're thinking about doing a collab. I'm thinking about doing another bland video. He's called it, I don't know the technical terms for these things, a lactomel or something like that, which I think is a fermented whey drink. Anyway, so we'll be doing a bland sort of thing, and maybe fruit or spices added in there, or we'll see how that goes. Anyway, so that should be very cool. Now, unfortunately, there's no show next week. It's Father's Day, so I'm spending some time with the family. But we will be having, the stream will be the next one. So there won't be one on the 4th. The next one will be on the 11th of September. So, yeah, sorry about that. But, that's just family first, all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, we'll do that. Okay. Let's say g'day to some people. So now with this new software, I can actually see chat before the show starts. So I couldn't do that before. C. Scarsden from Germany says, hi, Gavin, how much costs in Australia a cow? So how much does a cow cost in Australia? Not sure. I would say about $1,000 Australian for a decent head of cow. Maybe that's cattle. I'm not sure. But, yeah, I don't know the going rate for a cow. I have no idea. Anybody who's in the chat, if they bought a cow recently in Australia, then, yeah, let us know. So yeah, that would be very exciting. And then there's a whole bunch of stuff in German talking about maggot cheese, which I translated off the screen, so I'm not going to show any of that. First real person, Bill. How are you, Bill? Not saying that Sea Scars is not a real person. I just couldn't understand what you were saying. Sorry. Bill says, howdy. G'day and howdy, Gav, Kim and Pups. Yes, Kim and the doggos are sleeping. She loves her Sunday morning sleep in and looking after the dogs for me, which is a bit of a blessing because, last time I tried to do a stream and have the dogs here at the same time, it didn't all go that well. I was off the screen more than I was on the screen. So that was a bit of a pain. I hope you're having a good morning and getting some coffee. Yeah, this is Bill, second cup. It takes me a cup to set up the studio, and then 5 minutes before the show starts, I make another cup. So, very cool. Thank you so much. Next person, who else? Robert. Hello, Robert. Lovely to see you. Who else we got? Tracy from Cheese Needs. Thank you, Tracy. G'day. You did have a question. We'll just quickly do that. G'day, Gav. I'm teaching cheddar right now. What's your favourite cheese to teach? Well, seeing my medium is YouTube, and that's how I teach cheeses. All the cheeses are fair game, and like I've said many times, I love all the cheeses as in eating, so why not all the cheeses when I'm making them? Patricia, hello, how are you? Fun Pants 94, who is really Nolan. Nolan says, sorry, I didn't get my gallery submissions in until 30 minutes or so ago, late to the party. Quite lucky I managed to pick those up and put them in this morning, as well as Ruth. Ruth, who's in the chat there somewhere, I think. Last minute, I managed to get them in there, Ruth, except the last photo. I was just about to hit the broadcast button, and I didn't quite get that. Croesus of Borg, good morning to you. Patricia, lovely to see you as always. Who else we got? The chairman, hello, how are you? Judy, g'day, Judy. Shauna, hello, Shauna. Dennis, who else we got? Oh, Ruth is there. Wendy, PJ, hello, Wendy. Annette, Donna, Malia, I think that's how you say it. Hello, Malia. Michael, hello, Michael. And Jenny, I hope she's there too watching. Who else we got? Ashley and Patricia mentions that it's all in sync and hopefully the dropout problem is fixed too. Indeed it is, Patricia. I'm looking at the stuff coming in. I'm monitoring all this on another screen here. Sorry, on the same screen. It's a massive screen. And no dropouts, nothing. So the other guys, I'll might as well name and shame. So I was using Restream before, and I did all the technical stuff and did all the troubleshooting with a technician, and they came back and says, nah, check your routers. That was it. I'd already tested StreamYard, which is the new stuff I'm using, and for those who want to know, OBS, or I don't know what OBS stands for, but OBS Studio, and that worked perfectly. So I knew it wasn't me. So something to do with them. Anyway, it's all fixed, so it's all good. Ashley, hello, Ashley. C. Scarson's back. Hello, how are you? And I'll get to your question in a sec. Cool Cat, The Absolute, Marie, John, Scott, who else? Marie again, I think. All right. Rightio. Hopefully that's working. Goodness me. I tell you what. Oh, it is working. Sorry, I'm watching myself on my phone. Right. Hopefully you're all still there. I know a few people have dropped out, unfortunately. Goodness me. What? Curd nerds, it wasn't the software. Here I was dissing the software, and it wasn't that. That's not what crashed. It was my PC. Lost the internet, and the PC crashed. So go figure. Of all the things that happened, and good thing is it all came back up again. And once I rebooted and figured it out, I had to go back in, have a look at the router where the servers are and all that stuff. And oh my goodness, it just whatever. It wasn't good. Anyway, so everything that I had set up is mucked up. Hopefully, it looks like people on Facebook and YouTube can now see me, so that's fantastic. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to diss anybody. Software and all that sort of stuff. And it looks like there was a super chat in there somewhere too that Ruth sent through. Thank you, Ruth, for that. I can't. Can I show the message? Oh, I don't know. Oops. No, that's Bill. Bill, stop it. Right. Where are we? Can I see Ruth's super chat? I can see it up the top, but I can't show it. So I'll read it out. Thanks, Ruth. Appreciate it. Ruth says, Gavin, please talk about the protective culture and how to use it. Can you use it for all the cheeses? And it is okay for washed rind as well as wax. Okay, so you're talking about there are a few varieties. The main bacteria is Lactobacillus, lactis, subspecies. I'm off my groove. Hang on. What's it called? Rhamnosus. Rhamnosus. That's it. It's a plant-based lactobacteria. And it's mainly used for cheeses that late blow. That's all it's really used for. So the protection is against late blowing or butyric acid. It does keep some molds and yeasts at bay on the surface. I've certainly noticed that when I'm making cheeses. I would not use it for washed rind cheeses. It'll kill the Brevibacteria linen, so that would be bad. Also, I wouldn't use it for blue mold or white mold cheeses because it'll probably kill those molds as well. So only use it for cheeses that are susceptible to late blowing. So things like washed curd cheeses. So washed curd cheeses like Edam, Gouda, and the like. Even Colby sometimes can late blow occasionally, not very often. So Ruth, they're the sort of cheeses that I would use. LPRA by Sacco or Holbach LC is another one by Danisco. So there you go. I hope that helps. All righty. There are some questions before the great crash of 2022. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Oh my God. Where is it? I do have here we go. Here's a question. Marie says, I have a recipe for a soft ripened goat's cheese that calls for a Sherv starter pack, but I don't have packets. I just have a stock of bigger cultures. What combo of cultures should I use? So a Sherv starter pack, I think New England Cheesemaking Supply sell this pre-made stuff, right? And what it comes with is basically an aromatic mesophilic starter culture. So you could use something like Floridanica, which is a good old favorite. And it also comes with some powdered rennet. So that's what they do. They mix the powdered rennet and the starter culture together in the same sachet. And when you tip it in, you don't have to worry about renneting. You don't have to worry about culturing and all that. And you just let it sit for the 12 to 18 hours before you get the Sherv. So That's what they do. So that's what combo can you use? Just use my Sherv recipe, and you won't have any issues whatsoever. Okay. Cool Cat says, one of the curd nerds in the chat has a cow, but not in the Bart Simpson sense. They actually own a cow. Nice. Yeah, Jennifer's got a cow. I don't know if Jennifer's in the chat. There she is. All right, Jennifer says, going to be processing grapes whilst listening. So excited to actually watch. Jennifer's got a cow, but she's in the US. I don't know how much cows cost, Jennifer. So if you can chime in, that will be absolutely excellent. So, yeah. We're talking about cows. What else? Who else we got? Marie says, I've got 2 Jersey cows calving in March, and I'm learning how to make cheese before the milk floods begin. I have access to raw goat milk right now. Are they changeable for learning processes? Yes, you can. You can use goat's milk in your with the cow's milk recipes. Just use it's higher in acid. So goat's milk tends to set with a little bit less rennet. So you can use about 10 to 15% less rennet to get the same curd set. Culture-wise, use the same amount of cultures. But if you're using raw milk anyway, a lot of people use about 50% less starter culture. And have good results, because you've got to remember that the raw milk has lactic bacteria native in it. It hasn't been killed off by pasteurization. Okay. Fun Pants or Nolan says, excited to hear about the Lacto Mel with doing the most. He's good people. Yeah, he's a nice bloke. I watch his channel quite a bit, so you can tell when people are nice. So yeah, I will be hopefully getting that all together. Cool Cat says, Gavin, could you briefly explain the process of cheddaring? I'm aware it's something one would do to the preparing the curds, and that's about it. Thanks in advance from the UK. So the cheddaring process is basically a way of acidifying the curds in a special way to get the right texture for cheddar. So what they basically do, and if you watch one of my cheddar videos, you'll see exactly how to do it on the small scale, is in the big vat that they use big rectangle vats, and they cut the curds into big blocks. And what they do with those blocks is there's a certain amount of draining time, and then you turn the big block over, and you do that about 4 times, and you stack them on top of each other. It's just a way to get a fair bit of the whey out, because remember, cheddar's a drier sort of cheese, the real cheddar anyway. And all that does is expel some more whey and create a different sort of texture for cheddar. So that's what they do. So just go and check out any of my cheddar videos and you'll see the process. Okay. Sally says, I've made a tome with olive oil and powdered espresso coating. If I want more flavor, would it work to mill in powdered espresso so it would be throughout the cheese? I would not add coffee to cheese. Coffee will make your cheese bitter and inedible. So don't mix any coffee powder into the cheese, or even espresso that you make with an espresso machine. Don't do that. It just won't work. But thanks, Sally. That's a good idea. The outside sounds wonderful. I'm not sure what that's going to do to the rind. But yeah, it's yeah, Robert says need a new router. No, it wasn't the router. The router was working fine. I raced inside because it's like 50 meters away to where the switch, not the switch, the router is, and yeah, that was all working fine. It was my computer that decided to go belly up. So yeah, anyway, we'll leave it at that now. Yes, lots of people. Gavin has been. Oh, Nat, you're so funny. Gavin has been cheese napped. Oh, goodness me. And exactly, Ruth says Walsh. Well, Shauna's thumbnail is beautiful while we're waiting. Yes, it was. It's lovely cheese. Okay. Next question. C. Scarsner says, the last time I bought a red wine cheese, but it really sunk with red wine at the rind. I think it mean that the rind was quite thick with the red wine. Yeah, that's what they do. They sit it in the wine for about 24 hours, sometimes even 48. Evan says, hi, Gavin. I've got a Jarlsberg with 3 weeks to go and the wax is split. Yes, it does. Can I just re-wax over the split vacuum pack, or should I bite the bullet and take the wax off and start over? Look, I just re-wax over the crack personally. That's what I do. I kind of cheat and it works fine. No mold gets in there. By the time it cracks, you've got a fairly solid rind anyway, and mold doesn't tend to grow on it. So it's all good. Okay. Let's see. Let's have a look. Yeah, I'm just trying to find something where Cool Cat says, can you two ladies remember who in the cheese community owns a cow? She once talked about it, Gavin, milk production. Yeah, that was Jennifer. That's who it was. Bill says, Texas to Australia. We've all lost the connection. Yeah, all right, cool. Jennifer says, also making Anzac biscuits whilst listening, which is fitting considering they're an Australian thing. Indeed, they are lovely. And I tend to eat them whenever I can get my hands on them. Anzac biscuits are delicious. Patty says, I'm a cheese enthusiast. I've never made one, but I want to start cheese making. I want to make one where you can have fun with aging and ripening. What do you recommend for my first cheese? Oh, fun. Aging and ripening. So, right, there's a cheese that's fairly simple. There's 2 cheeses that are fairly simple that you can age for a minimum amount of time and still go through the aging process and getting a good cheese. So the 2 that I'm thinking of, one is called Guido's Hard Italian Cheese, and you can find that on the channel, and that uses a thermophilic culture. And there's also another cheese called Caerphilly, which is uses a mesophilic culture. Both of those cheeses are you can eat them within 3 weeks of making them. So go and check those out. So Caerphilly and Guido's Hard Italian Cheese. Okay. Let's have a look. Yes. Okay. Jennifer says, I can toss out some numbers, but it's really loosey-goosey. A pregnant cow costs $1,000 US. We also got bottle-fed calves for $40 each and then raise them. There you go. Thank you, Jennifer, for throwing those numbers in there. But you're right. When you buy them as a calf, they're a lot cheaper than when you buy them as a fully ready-to-milk cow. So, cool. Let's have a look. Robert says, check the power cord that's at the back of the PC. No, that's all good. It's just all the software froze. And the network card dropped its connection. So, yeah, that wasn't it. Anyway, I used to be in IT, so I managed to fix it after a little bit of troubleshooting. So that's all good. Okay, Scott's got a question. Says, hello, Gav. Welcome back. All my cheddar is very crumbly. Does not matter if it's sharp, mild or sharp. How do I make it softer? Your cheese is too acidic. The curds are too acidic. So what you can do when you're making cheddar, you can halve the cheddaring time. Another thing that you could do to lower the acidity is use less starter culture. If you're using raw milk, you should use less starter culture straight away. If you're using the full dose, because what I use, and just about every cheese making book out there assumes that you're using pasteurized milk. So if you're using raw milk, then halve the starter cultures. You don't need that much. It'll over acidify. So, okay, so that's what's going on. Yeah, let's have a look. Okay, yeah. Bill says, "Is it time for the gallery?" Well, what I'll do, I'll extend the stream by about another 10, 15 minutes, so we can get through all the questions. So, Bill, I'll do the gallery in about 5 minutes, and we'll do that. Cool Cat says, "I expect people to turn their computers on and off again." Actually got more when I came back. Cool Cat, I've actually got more viewers than I did before it crashed. So that's a good thing, right? I like that. That's good. Croesus the Borg says, "How is Swiss so hard and dense? Lots of weight on the press." Yes, well, that's one reason. The other reason is it uses a thermophilic starter culture, and that tends to make the curds a lot denser than it would if you're using had a cheese with mesophilic starter culture. There is a stark difference between the two. If I made a curd with the mesophilic culture, it tends to be looser and certainly not as hard. And if you thermophilic culture, the paste is very, very dense and stable. Plus, the longer that you age the cheese, the harder it's going to become. It loses moisture over time. Okay. Jennifer says, if they have a pasture, I think we're talking about the cows again, then it's mostly the hay and the grain over winter. It kind of comes out even, what with all the milk and the cheese, but there are some upfront costs for a cow, land, water, fencing, etc. Indeed. Thank you very much, Jennifer. That is great news. Oh, and last one. Once those things are established, it's rather organic and free-flowing. Indeed. Thank you so much. Okay. Ruth says, "Does the curd nerd light work?" Okay, now you didn't see it because it had crashed. So just for you, there we go, Ruth. It's working. So that was for your $20 super chat. Thank you, Ruth. Appreciate it. Okay. Jennifer says, "Okay, done with the cow lectures. I yield the floor back to you, Gavin. Thank you very much." Ashley says, "I'm still here. You startled me since I had my back to the screen while I was stirring curds." Get you every time. And Ruth says, "Of course, I want my curd light." You got it. You got it. Okay. We'll do two more, and then we'll do the gallery, which we don't want to miss because I do like it. Jeffrey says, "I will be trying to make your caciocavallo tomorrow morning. I will send photos of the process and the end results." That would be fantastic. Thank you, Jeffrey. Caciocavallo was a great cheese to make, and it tasted lovely. Very nice cheeses. Okay. Herb says, "Hello, all. Sorry for being late, but work prevented me from being on time." You missed some excitement, Herb. My computer crashed and I managed to get the stream back. So, yeah, very exciting stuff. Anyway, let's do the gallery. Let's hope this all works too. This is the next bit. I have tested it, but, oh my goodness, now I've got to find it. Hang on. Gallery, where are you? Right, here we go. Hopefully get that over there. So I normally have all this set up before time, of course, because it crashed. I didn't have it set up. Right, there we go. That's all good. Whew. Things, technical things. 21st century issues, as somebody said. Right, here we go. There we go. Hopefully you can see that. Let me just have a quick see if that's working. There's a 10-15 second delay from the monitoring to the picture. Hopefully that all works. Hey, yes, it does. Right, sorry about that. All right, so this very first picture is from Michael and Jenny, and they did some halloumi. Now, I've got a little bit of a spiel here somewhere. Where is it? It says, "Hi, Gavin. Jenny made some halloumi with unhomogenized 4.8% fat, 4.8% fat milk. It's very squeaky." So let's have a look. There's the process of them squeezing between boards. There's the halloumi as it's just been salted. And yeah, it's been salted and it's got looks like mint, chopped mint, I think. And there it is, all fried up. Yeah, fresh halloumi is indeed very, very squeaky, and it's lovely. Oh, it's just amazing. I just love it so much. So halloumi is one of those amazing, very simple, can be made and eaten in the same day. So yeah, that's all very cool. So I love halloumi. All right. The next picture, this is from, oh, it's sideways. Can I rotate that? Whoop, there we go. At least technology works sometimes. This is from Logan. Logan says, this is what my wheel of cheese looks like after 5 days air drying, I think. Says, I'm absolutely to oil it and wrap it today. The lines are from the rack, and it's sat on, and there are some green specks of mold. Is that okay? Yes, I would just use a simple brine solution and just quickly get rid of that mold before you vacuum pack it. And yeah, it should be all good to go, Logan. All righty. Thank you for sending that in. The next picture is from, where is it? This is from Molly. So Molly says, greetings from Pennsylvania, USA. Here's a picture of my Guido's hard Italian cheese I just opened. I waxed it after 2 weeks of air drying due to black spots appearing on the surface that did not wash off with simple brine washings. I assume the pink discoloration on the cheese is colouring leaking out of my cheese wax. Yes, it is. So that mustn't be very good quality cheese wax, Molly. It shouldn't really leach the colour into the cheese, but the cheese looks great. Absolutely looks fantastic. So as for the cheese itself, it tastes great after a total of 4 weeks of aging. Nice, light, and buttery. One thing I've noticed with all the cheeses that I've made, that I cannot fry it into fricco. What the heck is fricco? If anybody in the chat can enlighten me what fricco is, without me having to go and do a Google search, that would be great. Said, I've attached a couple of pics of me frying a chunk of store-bought Colby and a piece of the Guidos that I just opened. As you can see, I got fricco from the store-bought cheese, but my homemade cheese does not fry down right. I can grate it into a bechamel to make cheese sauce. Right, hang on, next picture then. Right, so that's melted cheese. That looks exactly like any cheese should be. Okay. Fricco is, somebody said here, is a dish of Friulian peasant tradition made of potatoes, onions, and lots of cheese. Okay. Thank you, H7 Apollo. All right. So, yeah. So what's happening there is the top picture. I hope you can see me pointer. That's what cheese is supposed to do. Any cheese that has good meltability. You cannot fry it like halloumi. Halloumi's gone through a process of heat treating the curds, and that doesn't, you can't fry it. The Colby down below here, that should just totally melt, So that's the store-bought one, I'm assuming. Let's have a look at another picture. Is there another picture? Yeah, there we go. So that one there, that looks like halloumi to me. That should have, if that was, says there's store-bought, that was store-bought Colby. Colby Jack. Right. So the Colby Jack looks like it must be processed or something. It says I can grill it, but the cheese is not, it works, although the cheese is not very runny and stringy. What am I doing wrong? Hang on. Let me get this right. Which one is which? So is the Colby Jack the top one? But my homemade cheese did not fry down right. I can't understand it. What am I doing wrong? Right. So if that's your cheese, the one down the bottom, then there's not enough protein in the cheese to make it melt. The top one, if that's the one that you bought, then that's what's supposed to happen. Your cheese, yeah, it doesn't have enough protein, and looks like you may have used too much rennet, so that will hold the curds together and that won't melt properly. Anyway, there we go. I think we've solved the problem. But thank you, Molly, for sending in your photo. Okay, the next one is, and final one, I think, is, oh no, there might be another one. This one's from Nolan. Thank you, Nolan. Let me have a look. What is it? Nolan says, here's a picture of a 4-week-old ghost pepper Asiago using a mold from your store. Shout out to littlegreenworkshops.com.au. Thank you, Nolan. Tastes great. Curds knitted together very well. Only critiques are that it needs more salt and it's a little bit on the rubbery side. Thank you, a.k.a. Fun Pants 94. There we go, curd nerds. So when you see Fun Pants, it's really Nolan. Okay. So yeah, ghost pepper. I bet that tastes really nice though. So it needed a little bit more salt. Okay. And on the rubbery side, yeah. The curds look a little bit too dry. They're not too acidic because they would crumble. Yeah, look, I think it looks great anyway. It probably tastes fantastic. Let's have a look. Okay, so that's cool. Thank you, Nolan, for sending that in. Do I have any more? I think Ruth snuck in one. Oh, here we go. So Ruth did sneak one in there. There's not much of a description. So this is about 2 minutes before the show started. So this is Ruth's Morbier, and it looks fantastic. I know she's using a, I think that's the Manchego mold she's got her hands on. There's the inside line there. That looks pretty good. That the drag mark just here is from where she cut through the cheese. But she's got a fairly good line going on there. So that's well done. And it looks fantastic, Ruth. And I think you did a little label as well. Let's have a look. Morbier, cultured with love. I'm not sure what the flag symbolizes. You may have sent that in a separate email, so I'm not too sure. But it looks great. I love your labels anyway, regardless. But yeah, great looking cheese. Doesn't that look fantastic, curd nerds? And I like the whiteness of the paste as well. So really good. That's fantastic. Well done, Ruth. All right, let me just, what happens when I do that? Right, there we go. All done. So that's fantastic. Thank you, curd nerds, for sending those in. Jennifer does say, what recipe did you follow? I love the way your cheese looks. It's very rustic. Indeed. So Ruth, chime in there. That would be fantastic. Now, how do you send in photos to the gallery? Well, let me just see if I can get that up. Like I said, it all crashed. So whether this works or not, again, this time, we'll see. Rightio. I'm going to share the screen again. Sharing. Sharing is caring. That's me. There we go. And we want that one. Rightio. So to send me gallery photos, this is the process. You go to the Gavin Weber channel or go to in your browser, type in cheeseman.tv and it takes you straight to the YouTube channel. Very cool stuff. And you go to the About tab. Hopefully you can see my little pointer there. It says About. You go to About. And down here in Details, it says for business inquiries, sign in to see email address. So if you're signed in, you'll see an email address or there'll be a little button that says I'm not a robot or whatever. Anyway, the email address is hidden behind there. And that's where I would like, if you want, to send in your photos. Send them in early. I just managed to get a few in late last night. Luckily, I got up early this morning and I was able to include them in the gallery. So send them in early. As soon as the show's finished, if you've got pictures that you want to send me, send them in today or during the week. Don't send them half an hour or 30 minutes before the show starts. They may not get into the show. So anyway, thank you everybody for sending in those. It was fantastic. We've got 10 minutes to go, but we've got more because of the great crash of 2022, of course. Okay, let's have a look. Where is it? Ruth's got a good question. And when is Kim coming back? How is she doing? Kim is doing well. And she is fine. It's just on Sunday mornings now because YouTube introduced the moderation feature in the chat, whereas only subscribers who have subscribed for at least an hour before the stream starts tends to cut away any of the, remember the riff-raff stuff we used to have, Ruth, when I first started, and people were just asking silly questions and stuff like that. Well, YouTube introduced this feature where I can set the amount of time a subscriber has to have been subscribed before they can enter anything in the chat. So it's an hour, right? I can do 3 days, whatever. So I can set it. So I set it for about an hour. And it all seems to be very good. And we don't have too many issues in the chat anymore. So I only dedicate people that want to learn about cheese talk in the comments. So that's fantastic. So really her job was kind of made obsolete by that feature as far as moderation goes. So she does send her love to the whole Curd Nerd community. Yeah, she now gets a sleep in on Sunday mornings, which is a good thing if you're here. And she looks after the 2 doggos, which both of those 2 can be quite rambunctious in the mornings, running around like silly buggers and disturbing the stream and wanting to go for wee-wees outside, and I've got to get up. And anyway, it just all helps. But she's doing really well. And she has been saying to me about 3 times this week, I must get back to Ruth and send her an email. So expect an email very soon, Ruth, from Kim. Okay. All righty. So there are some more questions here. This one's from Mochi Bun. And Mochi says, hi, Gavin. I use the low temperature pasteurization. As chat has a character limit, I suggest these as well. UH for unhomogenized and MBC made by cow. Okay, yeah, cool. That seems good if anybody wants to use those abbreviations. I should be able to figure that out. I tend to use the abbreviation low temperature long hold for that pasteurization method. It's also known as batch processing or batch pasteurization, which seems to work as well. Now, it looks like it's been illuminated in here. The sun's come out from behind a cloud. So anyway, Titus, you're a funny person. Herb, did you bring a note from your mum for being late? Says, use LPRA to prevent late blowing. I have used LPRA. Okay. Seems to have gone okay, but seems to have turned some way yellow. Oh, okay. Seems a bit strange. I haven't experienced that at all, Herb, since I've been using it in the cheeses that tend to late blow. So no, I don't have too many issues, which is good. Uncle Hank says, it might be easy to purchase a good milking goat and make a special cheese. Yeah, goats tend to be a little, well, they're not as big as cows, obviously, Uncle Hank. So yeah, I kind of agree. And if you've got limited land and land that's not, doesn't have a very rich pasture, goats tend to live off just about anything. They'll eat anything, as you've probably seen in cartoons and stuff like that. Yeah, so it's goats tend to they can live in more arid climates, if that makes sense, and give you a decent yield of milk. Okay. Bill says, if I want to make a dill Havarti using your Havarti recipe, how much dill would I use? Oh, cool. Good question. And yeah, you'd mill it in before you press it. The amount of dill I would use would probably be a teaspoon if you use 10 litres of milk, then I'd use a teaspoon of dill. It's very fine stuff, and it should distribute through the curds quite evenly. You can put more in there if you want, but I would recommend a teaspoon to start with. So there you go. Donna says, can olive oil be used to create a natural rind? What cheeses are more suited to a natural rind? The harder cheeses mainly. So any of the hard Italian cheeses all do a natural rind. A lot of those are primed with a coating of olive oil to start off with. Any hard sheep's milk cheeses as well, like Manchego, that's rubbed in olive oil. A lot of those style of cheeses. So any of the harder cheeses, no problems at all for oil. For the semi-hard cheeses, things like Gouda and Edam, those styles of cheeses, they're a lot softer. So I wouldn't coat them in olive oil. Olive oil tends to just keep a little bit of the mold away. And certainly you can rub that on the outside of the cheese to create the natural rind. So, but harder cheeses, Donna, are the best ones. So. Jim, yeah, what's he says? Titus, I think he would need a note from his boss, not his mummy. Oh, stop picking on Herb, you guys. He's a lovely man. Trash King says, have you done a video on Gruyere? Yes, I have. Go and check out the channel. You will find Gruyere there, and it works very well. It tasted amazing. Fun Pants says, I must have been pressing too hard with my other molds since they have fewer draining holes. Yeah, Nolan, I think so. So ease off on the pressure. That's probably why it's a little bit too rubbery, as you said. Patty says, I'll definitely try one of those cheeses you recommend, but I have another question. How long do you think till I can attempt at a mold-ripened cheese? You said Brie was an intermediate cheese. Yeah, so mold-ripened cheeses need a little bit of extra love. So definitely try, get your hand in at a few of those aged cheeses. As I said, like Caerphilly and the Guidos, great ones to start with. Mold-ripened cheeses. Look, when did I make my first mold-ripened cheese? Probably about the 5th cheese I ever made. And I tell you what, you learn some lessons. I made a blue cheese, a Stilton, and I certainly learned pretty quickly that you have to wrap it in foil during the ripening process. So once it gets blue mold over it and you've pierced it, and then you let that sit for, a couple of weeks, usually the blue starts to grow within. I then wrap it in aluminium foil and then put it into the back in the cheese cave, and that tends to slow down some of the blue on the outside. But you can use that for your advantage. So if you remember the cheese that I made, the Petite Blue, that had blue mold all on the outside, and it was all very edible. I did scrape some of it off, but it's pretty strong stuff. And that tended to make the cheese go nice and runny, and it was lovely. So look, when you think you're ready, Patty, that's when the time is right. So you'll be the one to know, not me. Okay. A little bit more time. Like I said, extend it by another 10 minutes. Lee says, hi, Gavin. When I make my sherbet, I'm only getting about 600 grams out of 4 litres of fresh goat's milk, not using calcium chloride. Can you give any suggestions, please? Yeah, look, I would certainly use some calcium chloride, especially with goat's milk. It tends to have a very delicate curd. You will get a better yield if you do use some calcium chloride. Calcium chloride is just a salt. It's like sodium chloride, which is normal table salt. This one's calcium chloride. Adds a bit of calcium into the milk. So I know you're using fresh milk, but it does. And Jennifer can attest to this. She's told me during our interview that when she uses calcium chloride, she actually gets a better yield from raw milk as well. So don't be scared. It won't hurt. So 4 litres of milk, 600 grams, sounds about right to me. But yeah, if you use calcium chloride, you get a bit more yield. So yeah, it sounds about right as far as yield goes to me. Okay. Herb says, I've had the pink staining from waxing. It's no biggie. It's only on the surface and has no impact on the taste. Thanks, Herb. Thanks for that tip, mate. Mochi Bun says, I made halloumi with your newest recipe low temperature pasteurized milk. Used additional pressing method and nearly lost half. It was too moist and crumbly. I recommend a feta brick basket for larger volumes. Yes. I've seen a lot of people do that using feta baskets or the big rectangle baskets to make halloumi. You can do that if the curds are very fine. But if you're using a tight weave cheesecloth, you shouldn't have any issues with that. That step between the two boards. If you're using tight weave cheesecloth, you're not going to lose any of the curds. So, anyway, thanks for the comment. All righty. 80 says Pecorino and Manchego are both sheep's milk. Are they exactly the same? Now the processes are different, both to make them. One comes from Spain, one comes from Sardinia. There's another difference, so that the local lactobacteria will be totally different, so different flavors. I've cut into them and they do taste different. Manchego tastes totally different than Pecorino. Even though they're the same style, actually they're using the same milk, I suppose, so they'll have the same milk fat. Now, Manchego come from Manchego sheep. Manchego, it's a breed of sheep. And Pecorino comes from a different breed of sheep, not Manchego sheep. I don't know which one. I haven't dug into it too much, but different breeds of sheep as well. So they will taste different. Okay. The next question, we'll get rid of that one. Everybody's praising all the cheeses in the go. They were lovely cheeses. Well done, everybody. Croesus Borg says, I've never had Morbier, but after seeing Ruth's, I want it. It does. It tastes really nice. Mine was okay when I made it. I didn't salt it long enough, and I did correct the recipe for everybody. So, Herb says, I've been wondering about Kim. She's so laid back and easygoing. Indeed. Herb, and one of the reasons there is since she was diagnosed with the breast cancer and managed to go through all the treatment and stuff, and she sees life differently. Life's too short to worry about anything, even though she does worry a little bit about stuff. Mainly, being sick again. She doesn't want to do that. She doesn't want to have another bout of cancer. Nobody does. It's not good for anybody. But yeah, so yeah, she has a different attitude on life, if that makes sense. Bill says, did you miss my Havarti question above? No, I got the dill Havarti. I got that one, mate, I think. Annette says, don't forget to smash the like button. Yeah, it doesn't matter what platform you're on and watching it from. Then, yeah, a like would be lovely if you like it, of course. Herb says, does LPRA have an effect on curd or whey colour? I use 1/32 of a teaspoon in a 4-gallon batch. So 4 gallons is about 16 litres, if I remember right. 1/32 of a teaspoon sounds about right. It's a very tiny amount you use. It shouldn't have any effect on the colour of the curds or whey, Herb. Certainly when I use it, it doesn't change the colour at all. So I'm not sure what's going on there. Robin says, you can't really buy one goat. They need company, just saying. Okay, P.S. Hi, Gavin. Hi, Robin. Yeah, they're a bit like chickens, probably very herd-orientated animals. But if you have one goat, give it lots of love. Goats need love too. Lots of cuddles. Herb says, I'll shoot some pictures of my batch tomorrow if the yellow shows up again. Yeah, please do, mate, and send it through. It might be something different. Patricia tells us she's going on holidays. I'll be in Paris in a couple of weeks. I'll have a wine-augmented cheese tour already lined up. Sounds fantastic. I would love to go on a wine tour. Anyway, so yeah, enough of that. Thank you. Have fun, Patricia. Enjoy yourself. Croesus Borg says, I can't have a goat because of the Kayo wolves in Nova Scotia, maybe wolf milk cheese. If you can hold them long enough without them biting you. Bobby says, "What's my favourite cheese?" Here we go now. All the cheeses, Bobby. All the cheeses are my favourite cheese. Jennifer says, for dill Havarti, I've used 2 to 3 tablespoons per 7.45 gallons of milk, for what it's worth. Yeah, Jennifer, you make really large batches, which is, well, you got a couple of cows, so yeah, you would. But there you go. I hope that helps, Bill. You could probably scale that back down. So, Ruth says, I miss her. I think you're talking about Kim. Thanks for explaining. That's okay. Yeah, life's too short not to have a sleep in on a Sunday morning. However, my routine is the opposite. I'm an early bird. She's a night owl, if that makes sense. So I function better in the morning. She functions better in the afternoon, and in the evening. I just crash by 9 o'clock. I'm knackered. Okay. Bill preempted me altogether. All of the cheeses, yeah, indeed. Ruth says, and I am all for sleeping in on a Sunday. The chat is 3 p.m. here in San Francisco. Indeed. Donna says, Brie was the first cheese that I made. I found it. I have found it easier than most of the other cheeses I have made. Each to their own, Donna. And yeah, you can start with mold-ripened cheeses, and you do them a few times, you'll perfect them. So you just got to know what can go wrong. So ripening temperature affects mold-ripened cheeses, white mold-ripened cheeses. The ammonia, you got to make sure it's got good airflow, and you've turn it often so it doesn't stick to the bottom of the mat and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, you got to do that sort of thing as well. So there are a lot of things that can go wrong with mold ripened cheeses compared to, say, a Guido's or a Caerphilly. So, but kudos to you, Donna, for getting it right the first time. Well done. Bobby says, Bill, there must be a favourite. A man with this much cheese knowledge must have a favourite. Maybe something rare, maybe something common, who knows? No, honestly, I don't have any favourite cheeses. All the cheeses are my favourites. When I go shopping for cheese, if mainly we get it online now, I try and find artisan cheesemakers that are making something local, besides my own cheese, of course. And yeah, I like to go for the weird and mysterious, but having said that, I love a good extra vintage cheddar as well, if it's matured properly, especially if it's cloth banded, even better still. Okay. Okay. Eric says, hi, Gavin. My cheddar tastes good and the texture is okay, but it does not melt under heat. My cheddarization method lasts for 2 hours at 39 degrees Celsius. Flip up, down every 15 minutes. Any suggestions? Your cheese doesn't melt. It's all got to do with the acidity profile of the cheese. So I would check that it's not too acidic. Certainly, cheddar has different acidity than other cheeses. It's more higher in acid. So yeah, you would have to check the acidity and make sure that you've got it right. Oh, here's a good one. I'll tell you what, Robin, you've come up with all the good ones. No, I'm never going to eat Casu Marzu. There you go. I'm not going any further. Let's have a look. Lots of people coming in late today, which is Forvo says, what's the temperature there? 90 degrees in Kentucky and you're wearing a hoodie. Yeah, I am Australian. It's winter. Patricia's already said that. Yeah, it's cold here. What's the temperature? Alexa, what's the temperature?
Right now, it's 10 degrees Celsius.
It's 10 degrees Celsius, Alexa says.
17 degrees.
Yeah, thanks, Alexa. Stop. It's 10 degrees Celsius right here, right now. I do have the heater on, but it's not that warm, that's for sure. Anyway, we will stop it. What time is it? Yeah, we've gone 10 minutes over. Thank you so much, Curd Nerds. I apologise profusely for the crash of 2022 during the stream, but thankfully, those who hung around got some value from the show. One last thing, we've got a couple of jokes before we finish. Got to have a couple of jokes, don't we? Okay. First joke is, I bought a purple cheese grater today. I didn't even know you could get purple cheese. Oh, that's a good one. There we go. Joke one today. Joke number one. The next joke is, why is Christmas the cheesiest holiday? You love this. Because of baby cheeses. Oh, goodness me. Here we go. What kind of cheese sounds like a royal duck? Quark. Goodness me. Quark. Quack. Quark. Right. What is a beaver's favourite cheese? You'll never guess. Edam. Get it? Beavers make dams. Very cool. All right. Okay. Oh, here's a good one. I was up to my knees in cheese spread today. That's the last time I walk the streets of Philadelphia. Get it? Philadelphia cream cheese. There we go. That's it. That's the last joke today. Hilarious. All right. All the comments. Oh, goodness me. Fun Pants says, you set off my A. Yeah, she seems to trigger at anything. I've got a few in the house, and all sorts of funny things happen. I know. It's strange. Anyway, Amanda says, dad jokes for cheese nerds, curd nerds. Very cool. Thank you, curd nerds. Thank you, one and all. Without your questions today, it wouldn't have been much of a show. So I really do appreciate you turning up. It's been fantastic having everybody in the stream, and when it reconnected, everybody was there again. So that's fantastic. So thanks so much. Like I said, no show next week. Father's Day here in Australia, probably other places as well. So I will have a sleep in myself and be relaxing. So the next show will be the week after that. What did I say it was? Where's my calendar? A calendar, guys. Come on, computer. Computer says no. 11th. The 11th. So the 11th of September will be the next show. Like I said, having a break next week. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there, and to everybody else. Enjoy 2 weeks of cheese making, and have a great time. Thanks for watching, Curd Nerds, and we'll see you next time.